What's up? If you have data engineers or people that work in big data in your company, I want to teach you, the consumer of data, how to be a better consumer and make those people friends. And I'm going to talk to the producers, the geeks, on how to help those consumers today. All right, so let's go. The first rule of being a great consumer of data is ask someone how long it took them to make the thing they're showing you. Please don't say, "This would be great if you could add," as your first response, because sometimes what you don't realize is that this may have taken somebody hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And in the first 5 minutes, without you fully understanding all that goes into the file, you're like, yeah, can't it just do this? That doesn't make friends with people that work in data all day. If you're a producer of data, you got to learn to say, "No, I'm sorry. Sorry." You're just gonna have to learn to say, "I can't do that right now." Or that's gonna take me 10 hours. Is this already good enough in its current form to get you moving forward? Or does it not help you one bit in your current decision-making process? The other thing I think as a producer of data, you need to show people sometimes that, hey, when you add this thing in, I can do it. Now let me show you how long it's gonna take this file to run. And that's gonna affect your ability to run hypothesis tests over and over again. So I often use the performance analyzer in Power BI. It's a great way to show somebody like, see, I added this thing in you wanted. Now you see how it takes 2 minutes to run every time we have a question to the data versus 2 seconds? You gotta sometimes make it real for your consumers of data. Numero dos, if you are a consumer of data, learn to do some shit your fucking self. What I mean by that is, if your company empowers you to take a CSV and join it to the existing data infrastructure they have. So you have one source that is maybe, a BigQuery or something like that, or AWS, whatever it is, and then you connect a CSV to it. If you can do that, sometimes it's really helpful for you to go into Salesforce or whatever and pull down that CSV and start to learn how hard it is to join that data to other data. The other great thing about that is it also lets you look into an engineer and go, hey, I just joined this, so I know it's possible. Can you do it at scale out of our data warehouse instead of me downloading these CSVs? I think what that's gonna do for you is show the data engineers in your company and the people that are working on data that you have some empathy, that you've taken some time to understand how hard it might be to be able to join that data. But once you do figure it out, one, you're smarter. Two, you can also hold their feet to the fire a bit and go, oh wait, I just did it this way. Once you do it that way, you're actually giving them the instructions on exactly how to do it. Guess what that does for you? It moves your request way up in the queue because they just saw you do it and they know it's possible. Producers, one thing we owe to our organizations is making ourselves accessible and available and having a smile on your face when people come by your desk and ask you for help. The best way to do that, because we don't like to be interrupted in the middle of a hard-working session, create office hours that say to everybody in the company from this time to this time, I am sitting around, I am waiting for you to bring me questions about data so I can help you all to become more educated consumers. So it's a two-way street. Numero tres. This is a little bit more search specific, but it's around business results. I work in a world where a lot of my data is directional. It's not exact. So for those of you who work in exact data, shut this off right now. But for those of us who have to use this data to try to estimate and make some guesses, some intelligent guesses, if you're a consumer, please don't tell me my data is inaccurate. I already know it is. It's a scrape. It's something that may not necessarily, it's something that's dynamic and it changes all the time. I get it. The question I'm always going to come back and ask you on is this data in its current form completely valueless? And if that answer is like, no, there's stuff in here that's valuable, then just use that and focus on using that part of the data. And I think that's the kind of language that we as producers need to use. Is this valuable in some way, shape, or form? Does this help you do any parts of your job better in its current format? And usually you find that answer is yes, which is way better than hearing from somebody, oh, this data is inaccurate. Now, if the data is inaccurate to the point where you can't make good decisions, yes, we gotta fix it. But sometimes I find that data that's consistently dynamic, like search rankings or competitor rankings or traffic, and it's constantly changing and moving. Sometimes you're looking, was it up and to the right? Good enough. So those are 3 of my tips for today on how producers and consumers of data can work better together. Take care.